gather around me, children, I'll tell you the news. Don't worry about the names or dates, you already know it's true. Your doctor hates your baby, the prime minister's a ghost, and all them folks are sailing here 'cause they're in love with boats. Superfoods can save us from all our evil sin. JFK and Elvis own a bar in Wisconsin. Vaccinations were created by the CIA to steal votes from Bernie Sanders and turn your babies gay. So click the link you think you like and get tooled for a fight against those lefty fascist communists who are leaning too far right.
Hi and welcome to another fake newscast. I'm Paul.
And I'm Jerry. Thanks, Steve.
That's it. We're just here to play one track for you, and that's all we're going to do.
Yeah. We're actually here to record our first ever live podcast.
So usually when we do shows, we do it on things. We do it on fake news. We do it on where you get fake news from. What we actually do is a podcast about fake news, about misdirection, about propaganda.
Yeah, basically, yeah. But what we don't normally do is do them on the fourth day of drinking at a festival. So no. This one could be interesting.
We'll see what happens. So we also thought that we've done some stuff on Cambridge Analytica and the likes before, and these are probably all sick to death of that by now because it's literally all that's been getting spoke about for the last 4 days, which is great and it's lovely. But
yeah, so we thought we would do something a bit more fun, a bit more light-hearted,
something light,
uncontroversial.
No.
So we're going to talk about Labour anti-Semitism
and Jeremy Corbyn. So it's a light one. It's a light topic that we're going for here. So do you want to jump right in and we'll actually start talking about where this came from?
Yeah, I mean, I guess you have to go right back to the start.
In the beginning.
Can't create the world. And then he put Ken Livingstone in it.
I mean, that was a fundamental mistake from day one.
It was a flawed plan. So Ken kind of jumped to the defence of Naz Shah, Labour MP, back in 2016, and he kind of said some sort of slightly unhinged stuff about, how Hitler was a Zionist and how
Ken works well as
he was doing okay until he went mad and killed 6 million Jews, and it's like it's not the best way to defend anybody from allegations of anti-Semitism.
He does very well at coming across like a psycho, because what happens is he says things that you're just like, I'm not against where you're coming from. No, you've lost me. And then that's his bit that he just works with all the time.
My favourite bit of work of his was doing the vocals on the Blur track, Arnold saying on The Great Escape. Remember that one? Nah, that was obscure.
That's very much so.
So anyway, he was basically suspended from the Labour Party at that point, and at the end of April 2016, Jeremy Corbyn commissioned Shami Chakrabarti to conduct an investigation into anti-Semitism in the Labour Party at that point.
The long and short of the findings of that was things were okay for the most part.
Yeah,
things were. I'm actually going to say kosher, but I didn't mean to go there that early. But yeah, essentially things were good.
2 months later, they published the findings, and what she actually said was she found that Labour is not overrun by anti-Semitism, but does suffer from an occasionally toxic atmosphere, which is not ideal, I guess. And too much clear evidence of ignorant attitudes, and she gave 20 recommendations of what they could do to kind of combat that.
Literally just there, I was half listening and I thought, oh shit, there's a pause. When to run.
What kind of led to a bit of criticism afterwards for some of the prominent British Jewish groups was that a couple months after that, she was, in August 2016, she was appointed a Lord in the House of Lords, and she was the only Labour MP who was given a peerage at that point. So nothing
becomes more questionable than you put someone in charge of an investigation to see if there's anti-Semitism, and Labour comes back and says there isn't really anti-Semitism. Labour, and you say, well, unrelated. Here's
you want to be a lord?
Here's a lordship.
I don't like to make women lords actually. Lady, Baroness. Yeah, Chakrabarti.
Makes you sound like a baddie.
It does actually. Yeah, stroking a cat. So yeah, she was I said cat. I said cat. Oh yeah, also there's not any kids here. How old are these ones? We may swear.
We get very, very sweary. There's a lot of words that I use as punctuation. So
we'll do our best. Right. So So yeah, 2 years later, her recommendations had still not been fully implemented that she'd come up with during the investigation. And it all kind of calmed down a wee bit. Nobody was talking about it as much. There was a few
there's bits here and there, but nothing. It wasn't in the mainstream press because at the present moment there was nobody trying to completely destroy the name of like Jeremy Corbyn or Labour, for example. So it wasn't really a thing. So nobody really spoke about it at that point until the kind of last year, we started talking about
at the end of March.
Yeah, so we started talking about how Jeremy Corbyn spoke about a painting that was on a wall in 2012.
Yeah. So he commented on a Facebook post of a mural.
Say decent painting, bro.
Well,
then throw up some symbols because that's his thing. Right?
4 fingers salute. We'll get to that later. So he basically was defending accusations that the mural was anti-Semitic. It featured like an Illuminati symbol, some guys sat around the table, and Jeremy Corbyn posted in 2012 saying it's not anti-Semitic, it's just a piece of art, etc., etc. Now this was picked up at the end of March 2018 and put into the papers, and then all of a sudden the anti-Semitism now blew up again. I don't know if any of you guys have seen the mural in question, but you know, I can see the argument for connotations, and I found out recently that the artist has made a couple of dodgy statements about Jewishness and stuff like that.
The problem is, so there's 8 guys, can't remember off the top of my head, who are sitting around the table. The table is made up of people. The people are being persecuted. It's kind of like a game of world chess to suggest that they are controlling the world, and it's a new world order piece. Some of the people there are noticeably Jewish. They have Jewish traits in the picture, like, you know what I mean. They would be, if you looked at them and say, yeah, that's meant to be a Jewish person. There's definitely like a Chinese man. There's definitely a guy who's like black there. Do you know what I mean? So it's not like there's 8 Jewish guys sitting around the table and that's directly what it is. It's a dig at the New World Order. It's got nothing to do. Not nothing to do. That's not fair. But it's not directly towards Judaism. That's not what it is. You actually have it, but
people can't see it. But the problem was
it looks lovely.
The LA-based painter Mir One did say some dodgy, questionable anti-Semitic things about it's just showing, you know, how people's beloved Soros and Rothschild are running the world. You know, these are popular. Oh yeah, they do. These are popular, you know, anti-Semitic tropes. Like
Soros is the reason that the pizzas cost £6 That's what I was hearing.
Soros is responsible for that Porter Lou being full of shit. Yeah. he's a very bad man.
He does everything.
Yeah. If you want to hear more about all the bad things George Soros is responsible for, just look at the fucking mad comments we got on our Facebook posts.
And anytime we post anything on Facebook or Twitter, generally it's Soros' fault, even if we've not mentioned Soros or left wing or right wing. Like we've done an episode on kind of ecology and kind of sustainability, and it was still George Soros' fault, even though he wasn't involved in the chat at all. So this comes up a lot.
So in order to sort of quell this big allegation of anti-Semitism that reared its head again, what happened was that he then took Passover. He went to Seder with a group called Judas.
Now there's JC went for dinner with Judas. There's maybe some questionable decisions there on his part.
Yeah, you think he'd have learned his lesson for history, you know?
There was silver pieces all over the place by the end of the night.
So the Seder, you know, went off fairly well, but then there was all this criticism from prominent Jewish organisations again in the UK. There was a Haaretz piece kind of defending. Haaretz is like a Israeli news source. They wrote an article kind of basically defending Jeremy Corbyn, saying no one gets to say who are good Jews, not even Jews. The so-called leaders of British Jewry just scored a massive own goal by losing it over Jeremy Corbyn's invitation to Seder. They have tainted the campaign against anti-Semitism, so they saw it as their own goal. And Judas actually had a piece in the Guardian, basically, you know, detailing all the kind of community work they do, all of the Jewish events that they hold, and cross community work, and you know, basically saying that we don't believe that Jeremy Corbyn's an anti-Semite because we hang around with him all the time and he's alright.
Yeah, I mean, so and this is the problem that this is a. I'm going to say splinter cell, I don't mean that, but this is a break-off group religiously of Judaism, like knowing it's no real different from the argument between like Catholic and Protestant and Presbyterian and other variants of Christianity.
Yeah, they're specifically political motivated, like radical kind of socialist Marxist group, you know.
Yeah, but
so they tie in kind of reasonably well with where Corbyn sits on the political spectrum.
Oh, yeah, they certainly have a lot of things in common that have got nothing to do with the fact that they're Jewish. Just so happens that they share political beliefs, so they chose to sit down together and do Passover to show that he's not actually got anything to do with the Jewish religion.
But the right-wing media portrayed this as almost an attack or a bit of baiting of the Jewish community in the UK, which, you know, is a little bit unfair when you consider the fact that nobody else was actually prepared to sit down with Corbyn and have him at a Seder. They were the only ones who invited him, so that was where he went to. Anyway, off the back of that, in May 2018, Ken Livingstone resigned. He said, you know, this is bringing too much focus on the party, it's bringing too much negative coverage, so I'm going to walk away.
Sending out a pile of psycho tweets at the same time, because that's his bit.
See you later, Ken. And then in July 2018, Labour finally got around to implementing the IHRA working definition. That's the International Holocaust Remembrance Association working definition of anti-Semitism. But crucially, there's like a bunch of examples which are attached to that, which the NEC, actually, who's like the kind of Labour code.
Yeah, the board that sits deals with
that. They changed some of the examples slightly, and that then caused a massive fucking furore, whereby it ended up Margaret Hodge, who is a prominent Jewish Labour MP, there was action taken against her by the party because in the House of Commons she had approached Corbyn, swore at him, and called him an anti-Semite.
So this is actually one of the key points that is hugely problematic for Corbyn. Essentially, there is an argument that I don't know where you stand or what you know about it, but a lot of the heat that Corbyn has dealt with would have subsided if he just accepted these rules from day one, if he just said, yes, okay, this is the rule set I'm going to stick to. He is known as being a man of morals and integrity, so he decided that he doesn't agree with the rules, so because of that he won't say that he accepts the rules.
Yeah, and actually, I mean, that's not even strictly true either, because it was decided by... in that it's not, it wasn't just his decision, it was a decision taken by a body.
Yeah, I know.
Obviously,
driven by
influence. But yeah, so the changes that they sort of made crucially focus around criticism of Israel, essentially.
So I mean, this is where his kind of base issue kind of sits with everything. A lot of the things that come back and bite him in the ass have got to do with Israel rather than they have to do with Jewish people. So it's a lot to do with the Israeli state. So they had changed the definitions of, or they had made more inclusive, more inclusive examples in their opinion of definitions of what anti-Semitism is when applied to the Israeli state. And I presume there's a spider here. What the fuck is it? Anyway.
That's good radio.
Nice.
So yeah, I focused a lot on whether it's okay to question Israel's right to exist or not. Now, to me, right, looking at it purely from a political standpoint and whether he could have saved himself a lot of problems here, I would suggest that it might have made more sense to just accept the IHRA definition, because I believe there's enough room within it to criticise the state of Israel for their human rights abuses. But not everybody agrees with that, including you.
So me and Jerry argue about this quite a lot. That's we'll keep that for another day. We'll keep that for possibly when we record the episode at home or whatever. But we have different views on it. Any word that can be attached to a country, in my opinion, to protect it based on both race and religion every time. It doesn't exist pretty much anywhere else on earth. You don't have a word that protects any other Christian country or Muslim country or Hindu country. You don't have a word that protects them from both a race and religion base. it's a weird thing to be there. But like I said, we'll talk about that another day, because that's a muddy argument. And it'll just be me and Jerry shouting at each other for 2 hours on a podcast about quality. We'll drink, it'll great.
What I would say is that if you want to learn a little bit about the differences between NEC code and the IHRA definition, there's a really good article that was published by Open Democracy by a guy called Brian Klug, who is a prominent Jew. He is involved in January 2018, he gave the annual Holocaust Memorial Day lecture at the University of Cambridge. He is also a founding signatory of Independent Jewish Voices. He is an Honourable Fellow at the Parks Institute for the Study of Jewish, non-Jewish relations.
He does a lot of Jewish things.
Yeah, and he had this article published in Open Democracy, which actually was brought to my attention by Paul Robb over there in the crowd. Which shows you the differences between them, and he argues that the NEC code of practice is actually a stronger code to be working off from a legal framework and stuff as well, and morally. And at the end of the day, it's a working definition. It's not set in stone. Like the clue's in the name. It's ever evolving, and there are some things which might need to be adjusted.
So in this line then, what we're talking about now, we've now got this scenario where it's all came back into the public capacity, it's all came back into the public face that Corbyn is an anti-Semite, and then we've looked at one of the reasons why he gets a lot of flack for it. So kind of following that, there's some fairly reasonable arguments to suggest that while Jeremy Corbyn might not be an anti-Semite himself, he has hung around and associated with some questionable individuals at times. There is a lot of guilty by association that kind of falls on his plate, and this is where some of the problems, most of the problems that he has to deal with, come up from. So do you want to start this list of...
Okay, so one of the ones that's brought up a lot in the mainstream media is that he called Hamas and Hezbollah his friends. So that was used to make some really nice catchy headlines where Jeremy Corbyn is friends with terrorists, that kind of stuff.
But this is toxic. This is the use of language that we are all fighting against at the present moment. This is the worst thing that you can have. If you take the words, so Jeremy Corbyn is to sit down and he has to have a group of people come together and they have to talk about how they are going to deal with the peace process in Israel. So he can't say, this is my friends from the Israeli state, and here's this shower accounts for Hamas, and I don't really like them, and we're going to sit down together. You can't do that. They have to be their friends, and you have to have them all in a level playing field, because he is trying to broker peace. You could call none of them friends, but you can't step into the scenario where you say, these are my friends, these are the people I don't like, we're going to make them meet in the middle. Also, he got a lot of flack to even suggest that he was willing to sit with Hamas at all. Now, it makes it very, very, very difficult for you to broker peace when there's only you on one side of that fence that are going to be sitting down. That causes another problem again. And to be honest, the Christian Gurr-Murphy and the Guardian certainly
focused heavily on the use of the word friends and his chat about Hamas and Hezbollah, and realistically, it's not really fair, because you're taking the words out of context. You're removing them from the context of the situation in which he described them as friends, which was a sitting down, trying to broker peace and to engage in negotiations and engage in peaceful talks.
And he did have the ability, so he had the chance to come back and give a retort on the reason that he said that. But it actually doesn't matter, because people only care about that first soundbite. The fact that on Channel 4 and the fact that in The Guardian it says Jeremy Corbyn is friends with Hamas, the next part is entirely irrelevant. It doesn't matter how many times he argues, they already hold that now as a fact. That is a thing that now exists. I can now go and ask people, and people will argue with me online, and they'll be like, but he's friends with Hamas. No, he literally suffers from the same problem when he was dealing with the peace process in Northern Ireland. It's the same basic principle.
Yeah, he's in that area as well.
They were his friends, but they weren't actually his friends. He doesn't agree with them on an ideological level, but he has to. He has to have them on this level playing field. But this is tabloid media at its worst. It's absolutely toxic. It's taking that one thing out of context, and it doesn't matter. You can retract it. You can have an example. You can have 300 people saying that this is not the case, but it's now out there and people now believe it.
And the nature of our discourse nowadays is that we consume things via social media in little small chunks. So that little sound bite will get shared all around the place. It'll be made into loads of memes. That is the piece of information which is going to be shared around and that people are going to see. And unless they are going to take the time to do a little bit of further research and find out all of the information behind it, they're certainly not going to do that if the piece of information they see basically reinforces their beliefs and it reinforces the side of the argument, if you will, that they're already on. Oh yeah, I don't like Jeremy Corbyn, so that's just another reason not to like him.
Absolutely. So one of the other problems that he's got is he does have various friends who are Jewish. Most of them are absolutely batshit crazy, though.
Well, I don't know about all of them, but certainly he's had association with a guy called Paul Eisen. Now, Corbyn has latterly, made a point of trying to distance himself from him and, ascertaining that, when I was attending events by a group called Dear Yassin.
So that's a place where there was a massacre.
It was a Palestinian village that the Israeli forces, the IDF or whatever, they killed like about 600, 700 people who lived there and ran them, basically levelled the village. So this, Dear Yassin Remembered is a group who is trying to raise awareness of lots of these massacres which have happened in the sort of Gaza area as Israel have taken land through Palestine.
And Jeremy supported them.
But it turns out that the guy, Paul Eisen, who is the sort of founder and main member of this organisation, he has a website, or he certainly posts on a website called righteousjews.org.
And that's always a good start. You can always tell it's going to go good when you find righteousjews.org is the website that he's bringing his information to. You can tell that it's going to be on board. So
he has articles like How I Became a Holocaust Denier and My Life as a Holocaust Denier, which
these things have got problematic for Jeremy.
It's not great optics when
it's really
Holocaust denials.
No. I mean, the guy is Jewish.
Yeah, that's fine, but I mean, he's a Holocaust denier.
Oh, he's a terrible opinion on a lot of things, don't get me wrong, but the argument I believe that Jeremy had put forward was he was supporting the cause because he believes that the fact that the Palestinian village were all massacred, that's a cause to support. The fact that the guy who's in charge is then also batshit crazy.
Well, yeah, it's a bit of a jump from that to the Holocaust. In fairness to him, I'm not sure that he deserves that much fairness, but he's not saying that it didn't happen. He's just saying that he doesn't agree with the official figures and the methods, and that there was a plan and stuff like that. But yeah, it's real down the rabbit hole, real fringe fucking stuff. And again, it taints the public image of Jeremy Corbyn fucking massive.
So would that be the only person that Jeremy hangs about with who's Jewish, who has a bit of an issue with?
Yeah. So he's also shared a platform with a guy called Heo Meyer, who is he's basically the one who's in the papers for essentially comparing the Israeli state to the Nazis. That was the big thing that was in a lot of papers about him.
He knows how to choose them, doesn't he?
But he's a Holocaust survivor, right? So he as a prominent Jew who survived the Holocaust, so he's probably got a certain amount of right to be talking about Jewish issues, you know what I mean? The problem with Hyo is that he is also a big proponent of the Jewish 9/11 conspiracy, which states that Jews basically fucking controlled the World Trade Center bombings, it was all fake, and that 4,000 Jews deliberately didn't turn up to work on the day of 9/11.
Do you think somebody at Labour goes through his friends last night on Facebook and just like, fuck's sake, Jeremy, these guys are mad?
You need to stop hanging with these dudes. The problem is as well, right, I think that when Jeremy Corbyn was doing a lot of this stuff, it was before he was Labour Party leader, obviously, because no PR person is going to let him anywhere near this shit. But the problem that you have is that he never fucking thought he was going to be the leader of Labour whatsoever. He didn't think he had a chance in hell. He didn't think he would ever even be put forward. So he was just going about doing all his normal backbench shit, supporting all these causes that he had various interests in. Now, however, people are going through it all with a fine-tooth comb and being like, well, what about this guy? What about this guy? What about this guy? And then you had the recent Telegraph story of him laying the wreath.
Yeah, Wreathgate.
Wreathgate, yeah.
Yeah, so he was laying a wreath because there had been a terrorist attack and lots of people died, and he was laying a wreath for that. And the Jewish state certainly, whether or not it came from them directly, but the Jewish state certainly had put out a post that suggested that he was actually laying a wreath at specific terrorists' graves. Now, those terrorists hadn't been buried in the country.
No, but that only came out much later in the narrative. So initially, it was basically stated in the papers that Jeremy Corbyn had been present at a wreath laying ceremony for the terrorists who perpetrated the Munich massacre, which, you know, the film Munich, and I think it was like the '68 fucking Olympics or whatever. There was a terrorist incident where a bunch of PLO guys killed.
ELO?
Yeah, Mr. Right side.
No, Blues guy.
That's Mr. Blues guy. That's the one. Yeah. So then that narrative's in the papers for about a week. About a week later, and not covered anywhere near as much. It then turns out that none of those people are buried there.
Yeah. So none of this shit gets retracted at this point. They don't bring it like not. But it doesn't get retracted in the.
It's not been retracted yet, but Jeremy Corbyn has made an official complaint to IPSO. And
they will meet the complaint, and what we see time and time again in the media, they will take that complaint, they will apologise, they will put it in a tiny little paragraph in page 15, page 26, and there'll be nothing in between. Like so no one will know that it's actually there. And some people will pick it up, some people share it around, but it will not change the fact that in the public psyche.
I think in fairness the rules have changed now, so if you are printing a retraction or apology, you have to print it with the same prominence as the original story. So hopefully he wins that case and that does happen, but as we've talked about before, the rabbit's already out of the hat, Pandora's box is already opened and that narrative is already out there and cannot really be fully retracted.
No. It'll never be retracted, and this is one of the problems that we see with media and fake news all the time. This is one of the reasons that we do our podcast, is that very thing, because once that information is out, that's it. I mean, that's the people believe it and they want to believe it, and they're not going to change that. So it doesn't now matter. You can print 1,000 stories that argue against it, but you already have. And as the guys that were talking earlier on, the whistleblower, as they're talking about, there's people who are looking for information, do you know what I mean? And once they get the piece of information that they want, they don't give a shit about the rest of it. Like they've got their soundbite, they've got their biased opinion, they've got that view, and they've had that handed to them, so they don't need anything else after that.
Yeah, and the space that the political discourse exists in doesn't really have room for nuance and complex arguments and stuff like that either. Like, so another example would be the four-fingered salute.
If you've not seen it, you should make a point of googling it for a laugh. Like the Jeremy Corbyn looking like he has no idea why he's doing a four-finger salute. I was actually going to show it there, but then I just realised that like someone might take a picture of me doing it and it'll find its way in the news, and then I'll be doing it. I'm doing it, says Jerry. But essentially,
oh shit, he took the photo. Anyway, so but if you I don't know if any of you have seen the photo of Jeremy Corbyn engaging this four-fingered salute. He doesn't look like he's selling it. You know what I mean?
No, it literally looked like somebody said, "How would you show someone that you had four things?" And he's just like in the back. It's so weird. But it turns out that because of that, he's now Jeremy's got a fine set of jobs. So if you aren't aware, if you actually run down, he's currently an active member of the IRA. He's currently an active member of the KGB. He's currently a
diehard spy. He was meeting with the Czechs.
Yeah, he's a diehard communist, and he's now a member of which Islam group is this?
Oh, this is Muslim Brotherhood.
Yeah, the Muslim Brotherhood.
Solidarity.
So he's fucking doing alright if you actually run the numbers. Like, I mean, that's a decent CV.
Essentially, the Express reported it as Labour leader in new extremism row over four-finger Islamist salute. They stated that the party leader was pictured making a gesture said to be associated with the Muslim Brotherhood, reportedly during a visit to Finsbury Park Mosque. They said that the group had a highly ambiguous relationship with violent extremism, and they run counter to British values of democracy. So but Labour's answer to this was Jeremy was standing up for democracy, justice and the right to protest in Egypt. The four-finger gesture is a well-known symbol of solidarity with the victims of the 2013 Rabat massacre. And that might be true. I mean, I'm sure it is true, I'm sure that's why he was doing it. But Jeremy, just stop doing stupid shit.
He's a fucking nightmare, but you literally can't take him anywhere. Jeremy Corbyn goes to places, meets the worst type of people for his PR. becomes their best friend, does some stupid shit, like he gets contacts like, can you accept these rules that say you don't accept anti-Semitism, and he's like, no. Fucking hell, you're going to say yes, but even if you're going to stick to the rules.
And
like,
the problem with this as well is that this was actually after he was Labour leader as well, so he's not even got the excuse of, I didn't know I was going to be the fucking leader. And I get that he has an argument to do it, and I get that he, should be allowed to do it if that's how he feels, but you need to understand the optics of it. Like, do you want to win power? Do you want to be in charge? I would prefer him in charge to who we have at the moment. I would
prefer anyone in charge that we've got at the present moment. But I would prefer him in charge anyway. I think that
he's not going to get elected if he keeps getting caught out in positions like this and in situations like this. Would you agree with that?
Oh no, absolutely. And this is now. I mean, Jeremy Corbyn essentially decided that he wasn't going to become the PM. He only put himself forward so they had someone who was left wing on the ticket. We know this for a fact. So he chose to put himself forward because they wanted someone to be in the left. He thought he would get about 20% of the votes. There was a group of people in the room with him, and they all said, "We will support you and we will back you."
Yeah, so, and also what happened was there was a big flood of people joining the Labour Party in order to vote for him.
But now he has this position.
Which is interestingly exactly what Aaron Banks was suggesting yesterday that people should do with the Tory Party. And the Tory Party has a much lower...
The Tory Party's got 12 members. Like 150,000.
150,000, yeah. So Aaron Banks was given space in a national newspaper yesterday to basically suggest that people should join the Tory Party, pull them to the right, and oust, in his words, the traitor Theresa May. So that's what you're going up against. As I think Chris Wiley said earlier on, the right are fairly united, and they have people fighting culture wars right now.
You don't have a Steve Bannon. You don't have these pillars of the community in the left that do the same as what the right is. This is one of the things that now. So using Jeremy Corbyn as a great example, that his PR team are absolutely bollocks, because they're making no effort to be in this grey area. As much as you want to be morally correct, you can't have this integrity and you can't fight this battle that they're going up against at the present moment, because the battle that they're currently fighting is they're fighting against people who know what they're doing in social media, they know what they're doing in new media, and they know how to manipulate people. You can't say this is correct and this is the right way to go about it. You can't get the results that you want to get by doing that. You're going to have to be in that grey space, and he's not willing to be in that grey space, and his PR team are a nightmare.
I would say as well, the anti-Semitism row, it's so complex and there's so many things going on with it that you need to really read a lot to understand the nuanced areas of it, and that doesn't lend itself well to the way that we consume news now. Like that Georgetown Law Review piece, it was talking, basically it was a paper all about fake news, what is fake news, how is it propagated, and it talks a lot about the fact that we basically, certainly younger generations and increasingly everybody, we don't consume news in the same way that we used to, right? So it's had a lot of the objectivity taken out of it, because most of where you're going to get your news is via social media. So it's interspersed with somebody's pictures of their holiday and a funny video of a cat and here's my opinion, or here's a piece that I'm sharing. But people are often sharing journalistic pieces as little identity signifiers. So this is what I believe in, and I want everybody to know that this is where my politics lies. So the people who are then consuming that via their timeline are seeing it through a distorted lens, because they are associating it with that particular individual that they're friends with, and they know what their political leanings are. So if they're opposite or don't agree with them on a lot of subjects, they're going to instantly dismiss it.
A lot of the nuance doesn't really lend itself either. So something like Jeremy Corbyn used the word friends when he was talking about Hamas, but he was using it to broker a peace treaty. That makes for a really shitty meme. There's a lot of text there that just doesn't work in big white letters across a picture. Because of that, it doesn't lend itself to the way that people see flash media, the way that they see that.
It doesn't even lend itself to 240 characters on Twitter. People want snappy, fucking concrete, distilled, pure information that's like, oh, this is how it is. it's black or it's white, and the world just isn't like that.
No. And then when you're actually tackling something like the anti-Semitism with Labour, it's so nuanced and there's so many factors of it that are all there. You can't put that in the paper, so what happens is it becomes a black and white and nothing else. It becomes a he is or he isn't, but that's not the case. Like, yes, he knows people that probably are a bit, and yes, he deals with certain people in different sides of the fence, and yes, he deals with that, but that doesn't lend itself to a Twitter tweet.
I think it is worthwhile to state that there has been a conservative media campaign. Like, people have weaponised this scandal and they have used it to attack him, but that doesn't excuse the things that are going on in the Labour Party. Like, you have to admit that there are issues with anti-Semitism there on the fringes, and maybe to a greater extent that people don't want to see, because we became so polarised. People will steadfastly defend Jeremy Corbyn and the Labour Party, despite the fact that there are things that need to be addressed. And also, like, we on the left, we have to be better. Like, we are the first to call out Islamophobia or Nazism or whatever we want to call it, fascism, on the other side of the fence. So if there's stuff going on in our own backyard, we have to fucking step up and deal with it.
But you get a problem where there's definitely Islamophobia also in Labour, but nobody's talking about the Islamophobia in Labour, and that's because if the news push out that story, then they have to admit that there's a problem in the Tories, and we know there's a problem in the Tories that they're trying to avoid.
Yeah, and also the Times are giving fucking Boris Johnson space in the national newspaper to be Islamophobic and talk about burqa bans and stuff. And not only that, but off the back of that, his father and his sister to come and.
He should have said worse. They should have banned it. That was exactly. I think his sister or his father or one of them. They both said the same.
They both said I'd like to apologise for Boris Johnson. He should have went further. They should ban the burqa. Like, that's in our national newspapers, because that's how far the fucking over window and the level of cultural acceptability has been pulled to the right at the moment.
Yeah, and this is now where it's became incredibly dangerous for us, and the way that we have to tackle it forward is from the left. I'm presuming most people here are from the left. You'd be at a really bad festival if you weren't. But from the left, we need to start looking at the way that we are sharing media and dealing with media and dealing with the people that you're fighting against, because the way that we're doing it at the present moment, as the whistleblowers we're talking about, just doesn't work anymore. It just
we're losing.
If there's going to be say there is a snap general election at the end of this year, which there's a lot of talk of, and if that happens, we will lose that as things stand right now, because we don't have people who are doing the media in the same way. We don't have the newspapers in our pocket, and we don't have a person who's leading, who's willing to play what is going to be a fucking dirty game, a really dirty game. So where do you go from there?
Yeah, we don't have a leader with. I would argue we don't have a leader with enough charisma to win people. We all know where we stand, but you need to win the people that are more in the centre, who are unsure, who are swing voters. And I personally can't see Jeremy Corbyn doing that. And I think he would be more likely to if he'd have taken more of a position on Brexit or whatever. I understand why he hasn't, because he's always been fairly anti-EU, right? So he stuck to his guns there. He stuck to his guns on some things, but then with Trident, he's allowed the party to vote because he thought it was losing votes. So sometimes you need to swallow your morals, and he seems to realise that, but he's choosing funny battles like the IHRA definition, in my opinion. I know you disagree.
But the thing is, you get the content creators, and they are the problem. There is where the issue is, because in the right now, they can take those content creators, so they've got your
the right,
the wrong right, the far right. They have people like, so classic we breakdown. We'll not really get into that, but Milo, right? You've got someone like that. So that's the one I can't dance to Glasgow. But you can take people right now and you can try and convince individuals in the street. See, in the nicest possible way, doesn't fucking matter. You can convince one person. Everybody's vote matters, but it also doesn't in the grand scheme of things. You need people who are creating the content. You need people who are pushing that out, and you need them working. Essentially, the right, you've got all these people that get names that we all know, right? So right now in the right, you all know who Tommy Robinson is, and you know who Milo is, you know who Steve Bannon is, and you know who this showery assholes are, right? We all know who those people are.
Yeah, who's doing the same thing? Who's doing the same on the left?
And there's nobody. And if there's nobody doing that properly on the left, then when it comes to a vote, they're the people that should be pushing out the social media. They're the people that should be pushing out the memes, and they're the people that should be getting people to vote and getting people and followers We don't really have that, not in the same way that they have it on the right. That's dangerous.
Yeah, they're taking grasp of the culture and pulling it in their direction at the moment, and we are not responding. We need to start fighting. We need to start responding to that. I would say that's
probably us. That was a bit of call to action there at the end. I didn't really think that's where it was going to go. Like, we have to stand up and fight. That's what we're going to do.
Solidarity, brothers.
Yes.
The left does the best music though, surely.
That's the left does the best music.
I mean,
Best music, decent chat.
You know, getting kids into the music and then getting the message across. I mean, what would a Tory festival be like? What music?
Oh, it'd be shit. I mean, the food would probably be decent. There'd be right night artisan coffee, but I mean, I wouldn't be worthwhile going to. It is, so we've got comedy, right? Most comedians, I mean, obviously there's a couple of right-wing comedians, they're not great, but most comedians are left-wing. A lot of people in the movies, well, a lot of people in the film industry, they're left-wing, a lot of people in music are left-wing. So why are we in this scenario then? Essentially, we've got all the media creators, like, maybe...
Are we too fair? Are we playing too fair?
But that's what I'm saying, we're going to have to go to that dirty, like, there's this dirty grey area that we are on a high horse at the present moment. It's just like, well, you can't go in that, you can't take information and cut it up a bit and still give real information.
But they are, and they're doing it in fucking full view of everybody with no fear of repercussions. You've got Aaron Banks, man, in the Times yesterday, after he's just been on Channel 4 like 2 weeks ago, being accused of bribery in Lesotho.
Weapons running and being involved in owning diamond mines and getting his money from particularly questionable sources.
And this is, we don't know where his money comes from. There's no transparency of where nigh on £10 million went to Leave campaign from Aaron Banks, and we don't know where it came from.
But
and he has no fear of anybody investigating that.
He actually said to Carol, I believe it came up when she was here, that you'll not find any evidence. So, like, he's telling that to someone who's known right now for the big piece that she wrote, and he's told her that she'll not find any evidence, which is actually a confession. Because if you say something you'll not find any evidence, it kind of suggests that there's some evidence that you've managed to hide.
Yeah.
And
he was drunk and he was like, you'll find no evidence.
Yeah. So that's the people that you're up against, people who have got no fear, people who have got no worry of repercussions, because there is no repercussions because we don't have anything on that side. Yeah. So essentially what I'm saying is if you're here and listening, we're probably going to have to get dirty on the left, and we can use our media creators and we can do that, but that's where we are.
Yeah, and on that bombshell, we'll say cheerio.
Quality, thanks very much.